Welcome. Today we're Veterans View and we're here at the new VA clinic on River Road and Mobley, the intersection of River Road and Mobley. And today we're doing the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Robert S. Poydasheff Clinic. As you can see, the VA have built an outstanding clinic here. And we have with us here today Senator Ed Harbison and Mrs. Ross, who's a Veterans Commissioner for the state of Georgia. Senator Harbison, tell us something about Georgia's role as well as the commissioner in help getting this clinic built.
Well, first of all, I just want to commend the legislators at the national level that worked tirelessly for this. This is something been in the work for years, I mean decades, and finally Congressman Bishop and other Atkinson and everybody else that was involved in it just really did a tremendous job making it happen. Right. And Robert Poydasheff, a good friend of mine for years, mayor of this community, and had a lot of sacrificial efforts that he put forth to make sure that the veterans were supported. And he represented a lot of veterans after he got out of public office. But this is something that is great, a great step forward. It's in line with the state of Georgia, what it does with the Commissioner Ross here, all the way down from members of the legislature, the governor. We all were behind efforts to make sure that we pass legislation that will benefit our veterans, the men and women who fight for our country daily, who serve our country in very valiant ways. So we're just proud to be here for this momentous occasion.
Yes, sir. Well, Commissioner Ross, it's my first time meeting you, and it's a pleasure. And as we know, Central Alabama plays a central role in this, and it comes under Central Alabama. Commissioner Ross, give us a few words about your job and this VA clinic.
Well, I mean, we partner significantly with the Department of Veterans Affairs, not only in the clinics and working to support the veterans, the almost 700,000 we have here in Georgia, many of which are in this community, but it's to serve those veterans. We just recently went from 9th in the nation to 8th in the nation for our veteran population, so we're growing, and it's great to see a clinic like this in the Columbus area where we have such a dense population between us and Alabama, be able to get these needed services. Now, as far as Alabama goes, I'm good friends with the commissioner of the Georgia Department of Veterans Affairs for the state of Alabama. In fact, he will be here as well.
That's Commissioner Davis, right?
Commissioner Davis.
Right.
We will, so this is a joint effort because we do share this clinic since it does border both states.
Right, and I know Commissioner Davis well. I've interviewed him. I call him my brother from another mother because we have the same name. But we want to thank you, and we'll probably be talking to you later on in the show.
All right, thank you.
And we have with us Commissioner Davis, Admiral Davis from the state of Alabama. Tell us something good about the involvement that Alabama had. Well, this is an Alabama clinic, so tell us something good.
That's right. Even though we're in Georgia, this clinic serves the whole Chattahoochee Valley and beyond,
right? Which
is Georgia and Alabama. We have a great partnership between Georgia and Alabama on the state and federal side to serve all of the veterans in this area. So this is a great day to see this beautiful facility opening up.
Yes, and I spoke with the Georgia Commissioner earlier, and she spoke very highly of you, and y'all have a great working relationship.
We do. I actually went over and visited her last week in Atlanta, and we share best practices and just talk about how we can jointly serve all of the veterans in this area.
Well, I'm so happy for that. And another shout out for Central Alabama Veterans Healthcare and for your office and what you do for veterans in the state of Alabama. We're here at Columbus, Georgia with the mayor of Columbus, Skip Henderson, and we're at the Robert S. Poydasheff VA Clinic grand opening. Mayor, tell us how proud you are for getting this clinic here in Columbus.
And I tell you, Columbus is a home to so many veterans. Fort Benning is a driving force, not only in our economy, but also in keeping our community moving forward. And to be able to see this state-of-the-art facility that's going to service so many veterans from so many different areas around our region, it's incredible. We're really pleased.
It is. And how do you think your veterans feel about this? I know the veterans from the surrounding counties, including Russell County, Barber County, Lee County, Harris, and so forth and so on.
And that's the key thing. I think it is a regional clinic. And there were some bumps along the road as we were trying to take into consideration. The VA worked well with us, and and I think they are comfortable with the transportation adjustments that we've made.
Right.
The city's going to put together a plan to be able to make sure that any veteran that needs access to this clinic will be able to have it.
Right. And it's a great location, do you think?
I think it's a wonderful location. It's accessible from our partners in the north as well as to the east. So it's going to be it's just going to be an incredible source of quality service for all of our veterans.
And I'll tell you something else, I think it's going to be great because a lot of the employees here work over in Tuskegee or Montgomery, and they had to commute, and now they get to come home. Plus, it created some more jobs as well.
Absolutely. You know, I have a personal interest. My dad uses the audiologist a lot because of flying helicopters in the United States Army, and it's going to be so much easier for my dad. He's almost 90.
Right.
Get access to here. But you know, another thing that excites me about this is it signals a renewed investment in our female veterans.
Yes.
That is something that is long overdue, and the quality care that they're going to be able to get is just top notch.
And people don't know, but this is an outstanding endeavor for female veterans because it takes care of them from pregnancy all the way through all of life. So whatever problems they have, they can get it taken care of right here.
And there's so many unique challenges that they encountered in some of the older regular clinics.
Yes.
This is going to be a breath of fresh air in trying to address their needs.
So, ladies and gentlemen, to all of our distinguished guests, now we will proceed with dedicating this same facility in honor of the late Robert S. Poydasheff, a veteran, leader, and community advocate. This clinic was named after Colonel Poydasheff in response to bipartisan effort, which we appreciate so much, and was signed into law by President Joseph Biden on January 12, 2022. I would like you to first welcome our very first speaker, and I'm going to ask the Poydasheff family to please stand up so that we can recognize them. And I'm asking Mr. Robert Poydasheff Jr. to come and speak and share with us.
Well, first I want to welcome and thank the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Secretary Mcdonough, and Representative Sanford Bishop, Representative Ferguson, Mayor Skip Henderson, and of course Dr. Faruqi, who was instrumental in putting all this together. He's the Director and CEO of the Central Alabama Veterans Healthcare System. And special thank you and welcome to Dr. Carlos Wise, who's the Chief Medical Officer for the Columbus Clinics. And a special thanks to Miss Austin, wherever she is, our VA coordinator, because she really helped put this together. And she was so kind to us, and we visit with her often. And finally, I want to thank our city councilman, John House, and the many others on the Veterans Action Committee, and Kevin was pretty instrumental in everything as well. And then the naming of the building after my father. So on behalf of the family, to you, we thank you so much for the honor of naming the Columbus area VA clinic after my father, Robert S. Poydasheff. And really, we're truly humbled, and I know it's such a great area. It literally took an act of Congress, which I've never got to really say that really happened. So, well, I believe most of you are here because you knew my father, and as he would always like to say, that some of you even liked him. But the real reason why we're here is to celebrate the military in our country that is looking out after its own, and that's the soldiers who saved our nation. And I'm sure we would all be remiss if we didn't thank the families of the many that died and that were injured for the love and duty of country. So, at the entrance of 3rd Battalion at the Citadel, where my father went and where I went, there's a plaque on the wall, and the plaque says, "Duty is the sublimest word in the English language. You can never do more than your duty. You should never wish to do less than your duty. And that was a quote from Robert E. Lee, who did that quote. And people have asked me, why as a lawyer who graduated near the top of his class at Tulane would he seek an Army career? And they would ask, why would he want to be on city council or be a mayor of Columbus? And quite honestly, he never told me why, and I never really sat down to ask him that question. But I suppose if you were to ask me, it was a sense of duty that he had to the city that he loved and the country that he loved. And I think he also saw it as his duty and as a Christian to love and respect his fellow man. And it truly did not matter what color you were, what religion you were, what station in life you were. He loved you because of who you were. Now, some have buildings named after them for what they give. I'm sure that y'all have seen colleges that a large donor has named after them. And I think it's important for people and institutions to donate to, say, colleges and charitable organizations, because their money goes for the good of society. And so it's only right, really, to recognize their financial contribution. But this building was named after my father, not for any payment or donation that he made to the government. Lord knows we all pay taxes. I'm not sure if that's a donation. But it's for what he did and what he accomplished in his life. And his currency was love and his duty, doing his duty to his country, his duty to his city, and of course his duty to the soldiers that he loved. And he was about love, which if translated is an act of helping people, especially our veterans. Fighting to bring the Veterans Clinic as beautiful and functional as a VA clinic before you, maybe his legacy. But his legacy for you and I, the people who knew him, is really that of a man who loved people, who loved family, who loved you, his friends, and who loved his soldiers. And today we remember my dad's lifelong devotion to service, which is a legacy that carried from Vietnam to his life. And now that legacy of love and service lives on through this community-based outpatient clinic to this ability. He's still doing what he loved, and that's serving the vets who served our country so well. Thank you very much.
First of all, I do want to welcome Secretary Mcdonough. Thank you, sir, for being here in Columbus, Georgia, and Fort Benning in the Tri-City area. Of course, I really want to express our gratitude to our Congressman Bishop and Congressman Ferguson, for not only helping to push this across the finish line, but to co-author legislation to name it after somebody that we all, if you live in Columbus, if you visited Columbus, shoot, if you've passed through Columbus, you know Bob Poydasheff. So it is a real exciting for us to see his legacy continue on this building that bears its name. And this is an incredible day for Columbus, yes, but it's also an incredible day for the entire region, a number of fronts. Certainly it's a huge, huge day because it will provide expanded access to medical and to mental health care to our veterans, our heroes, those folks that have done so much for us, and frankly, we've done far too little for. It's also a big day because it's been long overdue, but much of this facility is going to be focused on our women veterans. It is long past due that we start focusing on these heroes. Yes. And more so for us locally who live and work in Columbus, Georgia, it's a tremendous opportunity to memorialize somebody that we all knew, and it may shock him, I don't think it would, but we did all love him. And I gotta tell you, Bob Poydasheff, he loved telling anybody who was around that he knew me since I was this tall. I'm not sure that's 100% accurate, but if you know Bob, little license is not something that he's unaccustomed to taking. But actually, I think Kathy and I did go to the same elementary school in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. So he would tell everybody that we had known each other for that span of time. But for those of us that knew Bob, and I'm going to make some assumptions here. I think I can speak for everybody that knew him. Most of us that knew Bob recognized him as a passionate man. Everything he did with passion. He did with energy, and he had an especially strong focus and passion on soldiers and veterans. In fact, I was listening to Ms. Strode talk about all those fast food restaurants. My stomach started growling, but I realized she left one off, and that was Burger King, because that's where Bob Poydasheff would hold a court on the Winton Road Burger King since the 90s, I guess. Been working with Jerry and John House and all these individuals trying to make sure that what you see right here happened. And he's been pushing ever since. And I will say this, though. If your paths ever crossed with Bob Poydasheff, you were likely to get one of 3 patented Poydasheff greetings. It's 3 that I saw. One was the two-knuckle cheek pinch. You'd get that, and while he's laughing and growling at you. Another one was the one-handed back-of-the-neck slap, which, by the way, would leave your ears ringing for about 15 minutes. And then the one that I seem to usually get was the double-handed face smush. And I'm going to apologize for the language I'm going to use, but I'm attributing it to your dad. He would then back off with a hearty laugh and say, "I love this some bitch." Then if you're a female, you might get a quick peck on the cheek or a hug. But if you were a male, that's what you got, was "I love this some bitch." And you know, that may be the essence of Bob Poydasheff, because he did love you. He loved you whether he knew you for 30 years or he met you 30 minutes ago. And Bob's love wasn't constrained by mere emotion. It took the form of service. And that is why we are so excited here in this region to know that his legacy will be memorialized for as long as this building stands and continues to serve his beloved veterans. So the last thing I'll say, it's been a little under an hour and a half. I do want to say that I pray that God continues to bless the Poydasheff family. I pray that God continues to bless this great, great country, and I pray that God blesses especially the men and women who have served it in our armed forces. So thank y'all.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to such a remarkable occasion. Skip, just as you said, did you read my notes? I'm going to ask you the same thing, but there's going to be a common theme that comes through this, and that is about a man who is dedicated to serving his fellow human being. And with that, Ms. Poydasheff, thank you for allowing him to do that. It takes an awful lot of sacrifice on your part as well, so thank you. Colonel Poydasheff was a remarkable man in the sense that, as you have heard, he didn't just love you, he served you. His time in the Army, his time leading a city, and his time after that being an advocate for the men and women that have defended this country. And our men and women, quite candidly, that are willing to put their lives on the line every single day, deserve the best health care anywhere in the world. And in order to do that, you have to have a world-class facility. And what we have here behind us is just that, is a world-class facility. And another word of thanks should go out to the men and women that are going to work in this facility, that work every single day to serve the men and women in this community that have worked to keep our nation free. Thank you. Secretary Mcdonough, thank you for being here as well. It is truly an honor to have you in our community, and it is really a big statement for you to come down here and point out what a remarkable facility this is. Thank you for all that you do on behalf of our veterans. Our men and women that serve many times face unique challenges and unique illnesses, unique injuries that the VA is quite candidly best equipped to deal with. And again, in order for the men and women that are going to take care of our service members to do that, it takes a tremendous effort, not only from the Veterans Administration, but from this community as well, because it is a partnership. To have this opportunity to name this facility after a man who has done so much for this community and for this nation, it is truly an honor to be here and to be a part of it. So with that, I want to say thanks to all that are here, and I would like to point out a special thanks to my colleague, Sanford Bishop. Sanford and I, as you know, are on different sides of the aisle, but we're very united in many things related to our state and to this community and to the men and women that serve this country. So Sanford, I would like to offer my thanks to you for what you have done to get this across the finish line, and also to co-sponsor the legislation and this wonderful facility after Colonel Poydasheff. So thank you, Sanford, for that. So today is just the beginning. We're going to cut a ribbon here today, but much work needs to be done. We won't just stop today. We need to continue to invest and advance in health care for our service members. So with that, I want to say thank you, and what an honor and a privilege to be here to honor Colonel Poydasheff. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is the day that the Lord made, so we have to rejoice and be glad in it. This is a long time coming, and I'm heartened to see so many people to come out and celebrate this day. I'd like to acknowledge, of course, Stacy and the Poydasheff family, certainly Congressman Ferguson, Mayor Henderson, and all of the other elected officials who are here, and of course, our veterans and their families. As you are very much aware, it has been a long journey to this day, and it has been hard fought. But even though the path wasn't always smooth, persistence and perseverance from all of you has made it happen. It has brought us to this day. Mr. Secretary, thank you so very much for joining us here today. Thank you for all that you do for the men and women who have paid the price for the freedoms that we enjoy. Your unwavering dedication to our nation's veterans inspires those who work in the VA system. You've been a great friend of veterans, and you have given your utmost in addressing the issues that have long plagued the VA healthcare system. This new facility couldn't come soon enough for our veterans. With more than 20,000 in the greater Columbus area, we now have a brand new state-of-the-art clinic. The medical care that this clinic will provide will have an immediate impact on the health outcomes of a great and deserving population. In addition to primary care, this clinic will provide specialty care, including radiology, mental health, optometry, podiatry, and many other specialties. It will also, as you have heard, have an entire wing dedicated to female veterans. The unique thing about this country is not the fact that we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly. It's not the fact that we have an abundance of resources or that we have a country that is racially diverse. No, the one thing that we have in this country is that we have men and women who have fought and some that have died to protect all of those things. We owe a debt of gratitude to our veterans that we will never be able to fully repay. But we should always do our best to make sure that they have the resources that they need to live healthy and productive lives. That is why it is so important for veterans to have access to the best health care available anywhere in the world. This clinic is a down payment on that enormous debt that we owe to our veterans. Now, I'm incredibly honored to have this facility named after my friend of long standing, Colonel Retired Robert Poydasheff, the esteemed former mayor, the pillar of the Columbus community, the former member of the Columbus Consolidated Government Council. The naming of this clinic after Mayor Poydasheff didn't just occur by happenstance. The many groups worked hard to make it happen. Kevin Larcher, John House, and the Veterans Action Committee of Columbus started the process by sending a resolution to my office in support of naming this clinic for Bob. After that, the mayor and the city council passed a resolution supporting naming this clinic for Bob. And then it came to Congressman Ferguson and myself after we heard from the American Legion, Bob's fellow patriots, the DAV, the Veterans of Foreign Wars. All of them stepped up to the plate because they wanted to be tremendous advocates for naming this clinic for the man and the servant that Bob was. So Congressman Ferguson and I took it, and we were able to get all of the members of the Georgia congressional delegation unanimously to support the resolution in naming this facility. The legislation passed the House and the Senate and was signed into law on November 12th, 2021 by President Biden. So let's give a round of applause to all of you who worked so tirelessly to make this day come to fruition. As you know, Bob served in the Army for 24 years before retiring and pursuing a follow-on career as an attorney and an elected public servant. Bob put what was right over his own personal ambitions. And that's evidenced by his appointment as mayor of the first African American and the longest serving city manager in the state of Georgia. Even after his term as mayor ended, Bob remained active in our community through his work as a lawyer and as a strong and continuous advocate for veterans in the Chattahoochee Valley and specifically for this clinic. While he was born in the Bronx in New York City, he made Columbus his home. We owe a great deal of gratitude to Bob, to his family, for his legacy of service. His legacy of service to his nation, to this community, and to the countless veterans who will receive state-of-the-art care at this facility. To God be the glory, the life, and the legacy of Bob Poydasheff.
It now gives me great pleasure to introduce while we have already had many special guests, I'm very excited to introduce this particular special guest. This is an individual who, even though you guys don't know it, I know it, and my network director knows it, he has been incredibly supportive of our healthcare system. He has seen the growth, the opportunities to improve services for veterans, and particularly for us, he has given us attention that has been so amazingly supportive, I just don't even know how to speak about it. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Honorable Dennis Mcdonough. Before coming to VA, he served as the 26th White House Chief of Staff and as Principal Deputy National Security Advisor. He believes deeply, as he testified to Congress, that there is no more sacred obligation nor noble undertaking than to uphold our promises to our veterans, whether they came home decades ago or days ago. Please join me now in welcoming the 11th Secretary of the Department of Veterans Affairs, Secretary Dennis Mcdonough.
Dr. Fruki, thank you very much for the very, very kind introduction. It's such an amazing day to be here. Sometimes when you're the keynote speaker, people expect you to speak the longest, but that's my goal, is to not be that. I just want to make a couple of acknowledgments. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for your leadership and for your presence here today. Mr. Ferguson, thank you for fighting so hard on behalf of our veterans. Mr. Bishop, for your tireless work on behalf of veterans, on behalf of this facility, on behalf of facilities across Georgia, as a member of the Veterans Appropriations Committee, and as a veteran yourself. I thank you very, very much. I want to say to Major General Ernest Buzz, commanding officer at Fort Benning, thank you for looking out for the whole force and keeping veterans front and center. Rob, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, my friend. And I read a lot about your dad in the last couple of days. A great patriot. I can't top what Sanford Bishop and what Mr. Ferguson and the mayor and you said about your own dad. But I will say the thing that really struck me in reading about him in the last couple of days is something that he said about your mom, which is that she was his best friend. And the notes about that conversation with him said he lit up about two things: Stacy and veterans. And we see that here today. We see both here today. And you only need to look around this tent to see precisely the commitment that Mr. Bishop and Mr. Ferguson talked about to the country from this community on behalf of our freedom. And that is this great collection of veterans that are here today and that will get the care that they have earned in this new facility. So the fact is that, as Mr. Ferguson said, the veterans we serve deserve the best care in the world. They've earned that. That's what this CBOC, this community-based outpatient clinic, will allow us to give. We heard about the attributes of it, new radiology specialties, and traditional VA commitment to mental health. But as the mayor said, as Mr. Bishop said, as Mr. Ferguson said, the thing we are most proud of is the women's health offerings here. The fastest growing cohort of veterans in the United States Department of Veterans Affairs are women veterans. And this facility, which already provides service to 4,000 women veterans, will allow us to get them the care that they have earned. Lastly, the facility is beautiful. The capability, the technology that is in the facility will allow us to live up to the lone sacred obligation that we have as a country, which is to equip our troops as we send them into harm's way and to care for them and their families when they come home. The facility will help us live up to that obligation. But as important as the facility is, it's also the people in there. Many of them veterans themselves, great VA employees, like Dr. David Walker, like Dr. Amir Faruqi, and their teams that will allow us to deliver that care. And so I want to, in closing, in keeping with that enthusiasm for veterans demonstrated over his life by Colonel Poydasheff, underscore my admiration for the VA workforce in this building, who over the course now of nearly 3 years of pandemic have risked their own lives to care for our veterans. I'm for that. To say thank you, and we cannot wait to see the things that you will do with this beautiful facility on behalf of these remarkable men and women who have done so much for us. So, Dr. Faruqi, thank you again for the opportunity to be here today. Congressman Bishop and Ferguson, thank you for making it happen. And to our VA teammates here and our veterans, you had our back. Now we've got yours. And this facility, named after a great Army colonel, a great public servant, a great dad, and a great husband, will allow us to do so. So thanks so much.
Just finished cutting the ribbon for the new Robert S. Poydasheff clinic, VA clinic. And we have Mr. Faruqi here, who's the director of Central Alabama Veterans Healthcare. Tell us about today and how it helped fulfill you all day, and we end up here at the Infantry Center.
We are here at the Infantry Center, but I can tell you it has been an amazing day for veterans today here in Columbus. And not just Columbus, but really this entire region, Chattahoochee Valley, for our Alabama and our Georgia veterans both. The clinic is open. This is something people have been working on, not for a decade, we're talking a couple of decades. The day finally came. The clinic is open. We have cut the ribbon. We had some very distinguished guests here today.
Yes, we did.
Between, one, I have to say, the Secretary of the VA himself, Dennis Mcdonough, came for this, especially for this. We had both Congressman Sanford Bishop and Congressman Drew Ferguson. So talk about a display of bipartisanship,
yes,
by the way. We had Mayor Skip Henderson from Columbus. We had the family of Robert S. Poydasheff. And that is incredibly important to all of us to be able to honor his legacy because the clinic is named after him. It is, in part as a result of his advocacy as well as that of the entire community. So this is a day that's been in the making for a long time. We're excited.
Yes, sir. And we want to just thank Central Alabama Veterans Healthcare because it's important to understand that this clinic not just covers Columbus, but it covers several counties, 10 counties that's surrounding Columbus. We want to, like I say, we want to thank the VA healthcare system. We want to give a shout out that you can go to the website of VA and there's jobs out there.
usajobs.gov, please go. We are always hiring.
Tuskegee, you just heard it, Central Alabama is hiring. So go to the website, USAA Jobs, and go find your job. They are hiring.
Well, and we are hiring all over. So that means, because even though we're called Central Alabama VA, we have a wide spread. So we've got Central Alabama, which is Montgomery, Tuskegee, all that area. We have got South Alabama, which is Dothan, Fort Rucker, and Monroeville. And we've got all of that in Alabama, as well as our West Georgia areas, of Columbus and nearby. So we've got a lot of opportunities, and I hope people will jump in for them.
So that, in other words, you don't just have to work in Alabama, you can work in Georgia as well. We want to thank our sponsor here today, Beam TV 7 out of Phoenix City, Alabama, and you are viewing the Veterans View Show. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, sir.
Good. Thank you. Appreciate it.